Hello, Rick. Hello, Julie. Hello, Karuna. Welcome. Hello, Gregory. Welcome. We'll get started in a minute or two. Hello, Yankee. Welcome. All right. Let's start with our introduction chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Mano pubangama dhamma mano setta mano maya. Manasa che padutena basativa karotiva. Tato nang dukam manveti chakang va vahato padam. Mano pubangama dhamma mano setta mano maya. Manasa che pasanena basativa karotiva. Tato nang sukam veti chaya va anapayani. Anicca vata sankara upada vayadamino upajitva nirujjanti te sanghu pasumo sukho sabba papassa akaranam kusalassa upasampada Satchitta pariyodapanang etang buddhana sasanang Kanti paramang tapotittika nibbanang paramang vadanti buddha nahi pabbhajato parubhagati samanohoti parang vihetayanto anupavado anupagato pattimokke cha sangbaro matanyuta cha batasming pantancha sayanasarang arichatte cha yogo etang buddhana sasanam. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Actors speak with a defiled state of mind, and suffering follows, as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Actors speak with a pure state of mind, then happiness follows, as your shadow follows you without departing. Impermanent are all conditioned things, affected by rising and falling away. Having arisen, they then must cease. Blissful is it when they subside. Abstaining from all evil, doing what is good, cleansing one's mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Patience is the highest practice. Nibbana is supreme, say the Buddhas. Mendicant does not harm others. A recluse oppresses no one. Not insulting, not harming, restrained according to the moral code. Moderating in food, dwelling in solitude, engaging in higher mental development. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. All right, friends, it is Monday night, so that means it's time for the Festival of Dhamma with the Maggasekha community, Dhammapalooza. Dhammapalooza is, as always, a community-guided event. Tonight's probably going to be a short one. I think only do an hour for a variety of different reasons. But I'm glad to be back starting doing Dhammapalooza again. And we'll go from there. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, you can put them in the chat. If you have any topics you'd like to discuss, we can put those in the chat. And if not, then I always have a sutta for us to read. So I'll keep an eye on the chat and see what comes up. Karuna asks how I'm doing. I'm exhausted. I went from being weak at Empty Cloud to a week of pretty heavy, hot work at the Hermitage in Aranyagodi, and now back at home with family. I'm exhausted. But I am starting to feel a little bit better energy-wise, so I think I'm on the upswing. It's just still a little bit early. It was a lot of work setting up for that ordination, going up and down steep things, carrying Buddha statues, doing all kinds of stuff. But it was really cool. It was a cool ordination, or ordaining down in the stream like that. But of course, because I'm Big Brother, I actually did the work with everybody. All the other monks just came for the day and left. Exhausting. But that's where we're at. Seems like a quiet chat tonight, and that is just fine. How long has it been? When was the last time we did a Dhammapalooza? Maybe about 3 weeks ago. Right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago was the last time we did a Dhammapalooza. All right. I'll give another minute, see if what comes up in the chat. Then maybe we can read a sutta. The sixfold purification. This sutta lays out a method for assessing a mendicant's claim to awakening. So this is all about assessing if the claim is correct. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove or Natapindika's monastery. There the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Mendicants, venerable sir, they replied. The Buddha said this: take a mendicant who declares enlightenment. I understand. This is the victory cry of the Arahant. This is, at the time of the Buddha, how a monastic declared their awakening to other monastics and to the Buddha. I understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is no further return. There's no return to any state of existence. You should neither approve nor dismiss that mendicant's statement. Rather, you should question them. Reverend, these four kinds of expression have been rightly explained by the Blessed One who knows and sees, the Perfected One, the fully awakened Buddha. What for? One speaks of the seen as seen, the heard as heard, the thought as thought, and the known as known. These are the four kinds of expression rightly explained by the Blessed One who knows and sees, the Perfected One, the fully awakened Buddha. How does the Venerable know and see regarding these four kinds of expression, so that your mind is freed from defilements by not grasping? Hello, John and Audrey, welcome. For a mendicant with defilements ended, who has completed the spiritual journey, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, achieved their own goal, utterly ended the fetters of rebirth, and is rightly freed through enlightenment, it is in line with the teaching to answer. Regarding what is seen, reverends, I live without going near or going away. Independent, untied, liberated, detached, my mind free of limits. Regarding what is heard, thought, or known, I live without going near or going away. Independent, untied, liberated, detached, my mind free of limits. That is how I know and see regarding these four kinds of expression, so that my mind is freed from defilements by not grasping. Saying good, you should applaud and cheer that mendicant's statement, then ask a further question. Reverend, these five grasping aggregates have been rightly explained by the Buddha. What five? That is, the grasping aggregates of form, feeling, perception, choices, and consciousness. These are the five grasping aggregates that have been rightly explained by the Buddha. How does the Venerable know and see regarding these five grasping aggregates, so that your mind is freed from defilements by not grasping? For a mendicant with defilements ended, it is in line with the teaching to answer. Reverence, knowing that form is powerless, faded, and unreliable, I understand that my mind is freed through the ending, fading away, cessation, giving away, and letting go of attraction, grasping, mental fixation, insistence, and underlying tendency for form. Knowing that feeling, perception, choices, consciousness is powerless, faded, and unreliable, I understand that my mind is freed through the ending, fading away, cessation, giving away, and letting go of attraction, grasping, mental fixation, insistence, and underlying tendency for consciousness. That is how I know and see regarding these five grasping aggregates, so that my mind is freed from defilements by not grasping. Saying good, you should applaud and cheer that mendicant's statement. Then ask a further question. Reverends, these 6 elements have been rightly explained by the Buddha. What 6? The elements of earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness. There are the 6 elements. These are the 6 elements that have been rightly explained by the Buddha. How does the Venerable know and see regarding these 6 elements, so that your mind is freed from defilements by not grasping? For a mendicant with defilements ended, it is in line with the teaching to answer, Reverence, I've not taken the earth element as self, nor is there a self based on the earth element. And I understand that my mind is freed through the ending, fading away, cessation, giving up, giving away, and letting go of attraction, grasping, mental fixation, insistence, and underlying tendency based on the earth element. I've not taken the water element as self. The fire element is self. The air element is self. The space element is self. Conscious element as self. Nor is there a self based on the consciousness element. And I understand that my mind is freed through the ending of attraction based on the consciousness element. That is how I know and see regarding these 6 elements, so that my mind is freed from defilements by not grasping. Saying, good, you should applaud and cheer the mendicant's statement. Then ask a further question. Reverend, these 6 interior and exterior sense fields have been rightly explained by the Buddha. What 6? The eye and sights, the ear and sounds, the nose and smells, the tongue and tastes, the body and touches, the mind and ideas. These are the 6 interior and exterior sense fields that have been rightly explained by the Buddha. How does the Venerable know and see regarding these 6 interior and exterior sense fields, so that your mind is freed from defilements by not grasping? For a mendicant with defilements ended, it is in line with the teaching to answer. I understand that my mind is free through the ending, fading away, cessation, giving away, and letting go of desire and greed, and relishing and craving, attachment, attraction, grasping, mental fixation, insistence, and underlying tendency for the eye and sights, eye consciousness, and things known by eye consciousness. I understand my mind is free through the ending desire for the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, ideas, mind consciousness, and things known by mind consciousness. That is how I know and see regarding these 6 interior and exterior sense fields, so that my mind is freed from defilements by not grasping. Saying, good, you should applaud and cheer the mendicant's statement, then ask further questions. Sir, how does the Venerable know and see so that he has eradicated eye-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendency to conceit for this conscious body and all external stimuli? For a mendicant with defilements ended, it is in line with the teaching to answer. Formerly, reverends, when I was still a layperson, I was ignorant. Then the realized one, or one of his disciples, taught me the Dhamma. I gained faith in the realized one and reflected. Life at home is cramped and dirty. Life gone forth is wide open. It's not easy for someone living at home to lead the spiritual life utterly full and pure, like a polished shell. Why don't I shave off my hair and beard, dress in ochre robes, and go forth from lay life to homelessness? After some time, I gave up a large or a small fortune and a large or a small family circle. I shaved off hair and beard, dressed in ochre robes, and went forth from the lay life to homelessness. Once I had gone forth, I took up the training and livelihood of the mendicants. I gave up killing living creatures, renouncing the rod and the sword. I was scrupulous and kind, living full of compassion for all living beings. I gave up stealing. I took only what's given and expected only what's given. I kept myself clean by not thieving. I gave up unchastity. I became celibate, set apart, avoiding the vulgar act of sex. I gave up lying. I spoke the truth and stuck to the truth. I was honest and trustworthy, not tricking the world with my words. I gave up divisive speech. I didn't repeat in one place what I heard in another so as to divide people against each other. Instead, I reconciled those who are divided, supporting unity, delighting in harmony, loving harmony, speaking words that promote harmony. I gave up harsh speech. I spoke in a way that's mellow, pleasing to the ear, lovely, going to the heart, polite, likable, and agreeable to the people. I gave up talking nonsense. My words were timely, true, and meaningful, in line with the teaching and the training. I said things at the right time, which are valuable, reasonable, succinct, and beneficial. I avoided injuring plants and seeds. I ate in one part of the day, abstaining from eating at night and food at the wrong time. I avoided seeing shows or dancing, singing, and music. I avoided beautifying and adorning myself with garlands, perfumes, and makeup. I avoided high and luxurious beds. I avoided receiving gold and money, raw grains, raw meat, women and girls, male and female slaves, goats and sheep, chicken and pigs, elephants, cows, horses, and mares, and fields and land. I avoided running errands and messages, buying and selling, falsifying weights, metals, or measures, bribery, fraud, cheating, and duplicity, mutilation, murder, abduction, banditry, plunder, and violence. I became content with robes to look after the body and alms fruit to look after the belly. Wherever I went, I set out taking only these things. Like a bird, wherever it flies, wings are its only burden. In the same way, I became content with robes to look after the body and alms food to look after the belly. Wherever I went, I set out taking only these things. When I had this entire spectrum of noble ethics, I experienced a blameless happiness inside myself. When I saw a sight with my eyes, I didn't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of sight were left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of covetousness and displeasure would become overwhelming. For this reason, I practice restraint, protecting the faculty of sight and achieving its restraint. When I heard a sound with the ears, smelled an odor with my nose, tasted a flavor with my tongue, felt a touch with my body, when I knew an idea with my mind, I didn't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of the mind were left unrestrained, bad and skillful qualities of covetousness and displeasure would become overwhelming. For this reason, I practice restraint, protecting the faculty of mind and achieving its restraint. When I had this noble sense restraint, I experienced an unsullied bliss inside myself. I acted with situational awareness when going out and coming back, when looking ahead and aside, when bending and extending the limbs, when bearing the outer robe and bowl and robes, when eating, drinking, chewing, and tasting, when urinating and defecating, when walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, waking, speaking, and keeping silent. When I had this entire spectrum of noble ethics, this noble sense restraint, and this noble mindfulness and situational awareness, I frequented a secluded lodging, a wilderness, the root of a tree, a hill, a ravine, a mountain cave, a charnel ground, a forest, the open air, a heap of straw. After the meal, I returned from alms round, sat down cross-legged, set my body straight, and established mindfulness in his presence. Who's present? That's interesting. Establish mindfulness in his presence. Huh. That's interesting. All right. Giving up covetousness for the world, I meditated with a heart rate of covetousness, cleansing the mind of covetousness. Giving up ill will and malevolence, I meditated with a mind rid of ill will, full of compassion for all living beings, cleansing the mind of ill will. Giving up dullness and drowsiness, I meditated with a mind rid of dullness and drowsiness, perceiving light, mindful and aware, cleansing the mind of dullness and drowsiness. Hello, waiting on a crested. Welcome. Giving up restlessness and remorse, I meditated without restlessness, my mind peaceful inside, cleansing the mind of restlessness and remorse. Giving up doubt, I meditated having gone beyond doubt, not undecided about skillful qualities, cleansing the mind of doubt. I gave up these 5 hindrances, corruptions of the heart that weaken wisdom. Then, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities, I entered and remained in the first jhana, which has the rapture and bliss born of seclusion while placing the mind and keeping it connected. As the placing of the mind and keeping it connected were stilled, I entered and remained in the second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. When my mind has had immersed in samadhi like this, purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, and imperturbable, I extended it towards the knowledge of the ending of defilements. I truly understood this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. I truly understood these are defilements. This is the origin of the defilements. This is the cessation of defilements. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of defilements. Knowing and seeing like this, my mind was freed from the defilements of sensuality, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. When it was freed, I knew it was freed. I understood rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is no return to any state of existence. That's how I know and see, so that I have eradicated I-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendency to conceit for this conscious body and all external stimuli. Saying good, you should applaud and cheer the mendicant statement, and then say to them, "We are fortunate, Reverend, so very fortunate to see a venerable such as yourself as one of our spiritual companions." That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the mendicants approved of what the Buddha said. Hello, Visakha. Welcome. All right, so we got through that sutta in a fair bit of record time. Seems like a fairly subdued night. Oh, we should at least try to go an hour. Hello, Steve. Welcome. Why don't we do word roulette? So this is the I count down 3, 2, 1, and then people say a random word, and then we look it up and see what random interesting suttas arise. I knew Karuna would like that one. All right. One random word in 3, 2, 1, go. While you're saying your random word, I should Oh, did Gregory and Visakha really choose humble? That's interesting. All right, let's see. Karuna goes with whale. Uh, all right. Since we don't have a lot of people and we have time, we could look up both. We might use either humble or humility. Let's see. All right, seems like there's a couple. So let's read a few. Perceptions for ascetics. Mendicants, when these three perceptions for ascetics are developed and cultivated, they fulfill seven things. What three? I have secured freedom from class. So caste, I'm assuming here, right? Outside of the caste system, my livelihood is tied up with others, meaning that you are totally dependent for living on other people. My behavior should be different, meaning I'm a monastic, not a layperson, so I should act like a monastic, not a layperson. When these three perceptions for ascetics are developed and cultivated, they fulfill seven things. What seven? Their deeds and behavior are always consistent with the precepts. They're content, kind hearted, humble. They want to train. There's your humble, they use the necessities of life after reflecting on their purpose. They're energetic. When those three perceptions for ascetics are developed and cultivated, they fulfill these seven things. That's a pretty good one. All right. How about this next one? Faith. Sutta Sutta. Mendicants, a faithful gentleman gets five benefits. What five? The true persons in the world show compassion first to the faithful, not so much to the unfaithful. They first approach the faithful, not so much the unfaithful. They first receive alms from the faithful, not so much the unfaithful. They first teach Dhamma to the faithful, not so much the unfaithful. When their body breaks up after death, the faithful are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. A faithful gentleman gets these five benefits. Suppose there was a great banyan tree at the level crossroads. It would become a refuge for birds from all around. In the same way, a faithful gentleman becomes a refuge for many people, monks, nuns, laywomen, and laymen. With its branches, leaves, and fruits, a great tree with its strong trunk, firmly rooted and fruit bearing, supports many birds. It's a lovely place, frequented by the sky soarers, those that need shade to go in the shade. Those that need fruit enjoy the fruit. So too, a faithful individual is perfect in ethics, humble and amenable, sweet, courteous, and tender. So the first one we have um, a how a monastic should be humble, and now we have how a layperson should be humble. Those free of greed, free of hate, free of delusion, undefiled, field of merits for the world. associate with such a person. They teach them the Dhamma that dispels all suffering. Having understood this teaching, the undefiled become fully extinguished. Let's read one more, maybe two more, since these are all short. Or this one doesn't look very short, even though it's Anguttara Nikaya. Maybe we'll skip that. This is the Dhammapada. I think we're done with humble. Now let's go to whale. Jeez Louise. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what comes up. The only thing that comes up is a Jataka. Apparently, the whale does not exist in the suttas, which would make sense. I'm trying to think. There's not a lot of nautical similes, right? Because the Buddha was a warrior, so he doesn't really have much. If you want nautical similes, I think you have to go to Jesus. He's talking about the fishes and the loaves and the being a fisherman of men and things like that. So, great, Grace. I think we're done with humble. Famous last words. Yeah. All right. I'm interested. Let's see. How long is this Jataka? Let's have a little fun. And the turtle and the yoke is nautical. Very Karuna. That's true. Very true. He does talk about the great ocean a couple times. That's very true. Um, that's a good point. The turtle and the yoke. Yeah. So I'm going to break with tradition here, and obviously Jataka tales are not early text, but there's still interesting tales, and I want to see where the whale comes in. I can't remember the last time I read a non-Sutta Jataka. Rose apple, jackfruit. This story the master told at Jetavana about Devadatta's attempts to murder him. When he heard of these attempts, the master said, "This is not the first time that Devadatta has tried to murder me. He did the same before, and yet could not so much as make me afraid." Then he told the story. Once upon a time, while Brahmadatta was king of Benares, the Bodhisattva came to life at the foot of the Himalaya as a monkey. He grew strong and sturdy, big of frame, well-to-do, and lived by a curve of the river Ganges in a forest haunt. Now at that time there was a crocodile dwelling in the Ganges. That's another. I don't know that I've ever seen a crocodile in the suttas. Could be wrong, but I'm not exactly sure I've ever seen a crocodile in the suttas. Maybe just briefly like mentioned as an aside. I don't know. The crocodile's mate saw the great frame of the monkey, and she conceived a longing for his heart to eat. She said to her lord, "Sir, I desire to eat the heart of that great king of the monkeys." This is like a children's book. This is, I guess, why the Jataka tales are so easily um, converted, converted into being a child, children's stories. Good wife, said the crocodile. I live in the water and he lives on dry land. How can we catch him? By hook or by crook, she replied. Caught he must be. If I don't get him, I shall die. All right, answered the crocodile, consoling her. Don't trouble yourself. I have a plan. I will give you his heart to eat. So when the Bodhisattva was sitting in the bank of the Ganges, after taking a drink of water, the crocodile drew near and said, Sir Monkey, why do you live on had fruits in this old familiar place? On the other side of the Ganges, there is no end to the mango trees, the labuja trees, with fruit tree sweet as honey. Is it not better to cross over and have all kinds of wild fruit to eat? Lord Crocodile, the monkey made an answer, deep and wide is the Ganges. How shall I get across? If you will go, I will mount you on my back and carry you over. Ah, this is interesting. This reminds me of, is it the frog and the scorpion? Very similar. Yeah, let's see how this ends. The monkey trusted him and agreed. Come here, then, said the other, upon my back with you. And the monkey climbed. But when the crocodile had swum a little away, he plunged the monkey under the water. Good friend, you are letting me sink, cried the monkey. What is that for? Said the crocodile. You think I'm carrying you out of pure good nature? Not a bit of it. My wife has a longing for your heart, and I want to give it to her to eat. Friend, said the monkey, it's nice of you to tell me. Why, if our heart were inside us, when we go jumping among the treetops, it would be all knocked to pieces. Well, where do you keep it? The Bodhisattva pointed to a fig tree with clusters of ripe fruit standing not far off. See, said he, there are our hearts hanging on yon fig tree. If you will show me your heart, said Crocodile, then I won't kill you. Take me to the tree then, and I will point it out to you hanging upon it. The crocodile brought him to the place. The monkey left off his back, climbing up the fig tree, sat up upon it. Oh, silly crocodile, said he, you thought that there were creatures that kept their hearts in the treetop? You're a fool, and I have outwitted you. You may keep your fruit to yourself. Your body is great, but you have no sense. And then, to explain this idea, he uttered the following standards. Rose apple, jackfruit, mangoes, two across the water where I see. Enough of them, I want them not. My fig is good enough for me. Great is your body, verily, but how much smaller is your wit. Now go your ways, Sir Crocodile, for I have had the best of it. Crocodile, feeling as sad and miserable as if he had lost 1,000 pieces of monkey, went back sorrowing to the place where he lived. Where's the whale? There's no whale in that. It's just monkeys. So he sent a dissertation. A whale took him on his back. Anyway, that was a fun little jaunt. Let's do one more round. One more round of random words. 3, 2, 1, go. Interesting that it seems to be implying it's okay to lie. Yes, isn't it? Interesting. Hmm. Then again, they were animals. So maybe they just assume that animals lie because they can't follow the precepts. Fork and egg. This should be interesting, I suppose. Oh, and skillful. I thought, Craig, I thought you were replying to the comment. Fork, egg, and skillful. Let's try egg. The eggshell of ignorance. Let's see. Oh, that's not right. Suppose, Brahmin, there was a chicken with 8 or 10 or 12 eggs, and she properly sat on them and kept them warm and incubated. Now the chick that's first to break out of the eggshell with its claws and beak and hatch safely, should that be called the eldest or the youngest? Okay, this I remember. Mr. Gautama, that should be called the eldest, for it's the eldest among them. In the same way, in this population lost in ignorance, trapped in their shells, I alone have broken open the egg of ignorance and realized the supreme, perfect awakening. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Everybody is trapped in their shell. Hmm, that's an interesting simile. What is the modern thing? What do they say everybody's in? Um, Trying to think. Echo chamber. A shell is kind of like an echo chamber, isn't it? Everybody's trapped in their shell of ignorance, wrapped in their ignorance. So, Brahmin, I am the eldest and first in the world. Ah, that's right. Yes, multiple. This was my breaking out. Okay. So let's go back there. Let's see. Looks like it's the same. Oh, it's just different translations. All right. And there looks like a bunch in the Chinese. Ah, yes. Okay. And then also we have the talking about the different ways that a being can be born in the womb by an egg, spontaneous, etc. All right. What did we have here? Fork. All right, let's do fork now. Fork. I don't know. I'd be amazed. Oh, about snakes. About snakes. Interesting. Oh, and a fork in the road. Let's see. Let's see about snakes. Mendicants. There are these 5 drawbacks of a black snake. What 5? It's irritable, acrimonious, venomous, fork-tongued, and treacherous. These are the 5 dangers of a black snake. Uh-oh. In the same way, there are these 5 drawbacks of a female. What 5? She's irritable, acrimonious, venomous, fork-tongued, and treacherous. This is a female's venom. Usually she's very lustful. This is a female's forked tongue. Usually she speaks divisively. This is a female's treachery. Usually she's an adulteress. These are the 5 drawbacks of a female. Woo! That's a rough one. All right. The snake parable. EA. I don't know what EA. Oh, A. Okay, so that's Agama. Ekottara. I think that's the Anguttara Agama. Let's see. And the rest seem to be about forks in the roads. Let's check out the Udana. What does this say? So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was traveling along a road in the coastal lands with Venerable Nagasamala as his second monk. What is Samala? I want to look at that. That's an interesting name. I'm just going to look at this part here. We know what a Naga is already. Ah, okay. It doesn't have a meaning. It's just the name of a monk. At least not that I could see. Nagasamala saw a fork in the road and said to the Buddha, "Sir, this is the road. Let us go this way." But when he said this, the Buddha responded, "Nagasamala, this is the road. Let us go this way." For a second time and a third time, Nagasamala said to the Buddha, "Sir, this is the road. Let us go this way." And for a third time, the Buddha responded, "Nagasamala, this is the road. Let us go this way." Then Nagasamala put the Buddha's bowl and robes down on the ground right there and left, saying, "Sir, here are your bowl and robes." Then, as Nagasamala was going down the road, he was set upon by bandits who struck him with fists and feet, broke his bowl, and tore his outer robe. Then Nagasamala, with his bowl broken and his outer robe torn, went to the Buddha and told him what had happened. Then, understanding this matter, on that occasion, the Buddha expressed his heartfelt sentiment. Walking together, dwelling as one, the knowledge master mixes with foolish folk. Knowing this, they give up wickedness, like a milk-drinking heron in the water. So this is a pretty disrespectful thing, right? So Nagasamala kind of gets into a little back and forth with the Buddha, and then he gets frustrated, and he just puts the Buddha's bowl and robes on the ground. It's like, "See you later. I'm out of here." That's what you kind of get, I guess. Then you get beset by bandits. Gregory says, "Doesn't sound like the Pali Canon." Well, it is Anguttara Nikaya. It's in there. I mean, typically when they have like the bad things of a woman, they also have the bad things of a man. Could be there. I don't know. I don't feel like looking. We're coming to the end. But every once in a while, there are some things in there that, can't really explain. It's there one way or the other. Hmm. Yeah, the black snakes. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's good. I think we this is an hour, and I'm happy that Dhammapalooza is started back again, and we'll get started. Morning Monastery Experience also started back again. So if you'd like to join us Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. in New York time, you're welcome to join us. And I think with that, Suki Hotu, may you be happy and at ease, practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again. Have a good night.